Hey!
Hey, I'm CJ,
And I'm Robin.
and welcome to the Cozy Kitchen.
Come and make yourself comfortable here with us by the fire.
Let's chat about baking, friendship, and cozy hobbies. And if there's time and enough tea, maybe we'll even unravel some traumatic backstories.
I mean, there should always be enough tea. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, CJ. How you doing?
Good! Happy New Year, Robin! It's been a
Woo!
while.
I know. I mean, I guess not for the podcast because we, release an episode every week, but it has been a while since you and I have done a podcast. It's been a couple weeks. So
Yes.
it's been a very, I feel like the holiday season is just so busy and there's always so much to do. But I would love to hear about how yours went. How were your holidays in general? How was your baking? Did you bake anything fun? I know you did what was it, a vegan beef Wellington? Was that on your dinner table for Christmas?
Well, so Christmas, I spent it sick and without power. So
No!
no, no baking at all. I was just trying to, stay warm, and I think I actually lost weight that
Oh
I
no, that's the
think
opposite of what's supposed to happen. No, you should have just come over to my place.
I know. I definitely lost weight, and I was like, "Oh, that's kinda nice. I'm gonna be able to fit into those jeans." Um,
No. I guess,
um
that's it's keeping it positive, I guess.
Yes, yes, yeah. But as far as like cooking slash baking, I did bake for New Year's Eve. So I had a New Year's Eve party my neighbor invited me over to, and she's vegan. And so she came to me one day and she was like, "Hey, it's Italian themed. And here's the spread. I've got a baked ziti. I'll have, fruit platter. I'll have, cheese, vegan cheese, and just like the whole spread." And she was like, "Do you have any recommendations on what could be added?" And I was thinking, Italian. Okay. Well, didn't sound like there was dessert. And I was like,
Mhm.
"You need a tiramisu."
Yes.
And then she was like, "Well, can you help me make a vegan tiramisu?" And I was like, "I love a good challenge.
Yee.
Challenge on."
Oh my gosh, I
So
can't wait. So tiramisu, just non-vegan tiramisu has a lot of eggs in it. Like, 'cause it's like a custard, it's meringue, it's ladyfingers, it's coffee, sometimes rum, I guess, can be
Mhm.
added in, and then the powdered chocolate on top. So I'm curious, did you have to substitute almost all of the ingredients, or was it just the main ones that you had to substitute, or, like, how did you work it out?
So the first thing I did was do research. So I go on the internet, vegan tiramisu recipes. I'm looking at probably I saw like maybe 5 different recipes. Like some of them were they used like silken tofu to make
Oh.
kind of the cheese. Some of them used cashew cream. Some of them used
Ooh.
coconut cream.
Mhm.
There was a recipe for making the ladyfingers from scratch.
Mhm.
Other recipes were much more simple. They're like just buy vegan cookies and soak it in the coffee liqueur and
Hmm.
be done with it. Don't worry about baking your own ladyfingers.
Mhm.
So me being me,
Let
I
me
went,
guess what you ended up doing.
yes, why'd you guess?
Let me see. First, you probably, like, grew your own wheat for the flour, milled your own sugar.
You are on the right track. You know me well.
Oh, man, but yeah,
Oh,
tell me all about it, like, I wanna hear the whole process.
yeah.
This is really cool stuff to me.
So, okay, I actually have my notes right here. So, I like to take all the good parts of all the recipes and just make my own. So what I did was I made my own mascarpone cheese. So
Oh.
that one of the recipes taught you how to make vegan mascarpone,
Mhm.
and that entails coconut cream, oh, coconut milk, like full fat coconut milk, equal parts soy milk, and then about 50% of that was vegan Greek yogurt, which I found a vegan coconut yogurt that was very thick, like Greek yogurt.
Mhm.
And what you do is you put it all into a pot and you bring it up to heat. It's kind of like how you would make a paneer. So you take milk
Oh. Mhm.
and heat it up and you add vinegar. And so you do the same thing here. So you've got the coconut milk, you've got the soy milk, you've got the thick Greek yogurt, the coconut yogurt in this case. You got it in this big pot, and once it's hot enough, you just put the vinegar in and you let it curdle. So you let it sit and then strain it.
Mhm.
Once it's strained, you've got the texture of mascarpone cheese. So it started with that.
Mhm.
Then I did this over a course of 3 days.
Mhm. That makes sense. This does not sound like a project that you want to rush with. It doesn't sound like something that you wanna do 45 minutes before you have to go to the gathering. This
Yes.
is this is you wanna plan this all out.
Yep, exactly. And so I wasn't sure, vegan, I've done some vegan and I've had a lot of disasters. So baking wise, I had a lot of contingencies planned. Initially, I wanted to do the vegan ladyfingers from scratch. So, okay, that was my top priority, like top choice.
Mm.
Second choice was I noticed that some of the recipes had just a vegan sponge cake as kind
Oh.
of the substitute for the lady fingers. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. Let's do that. So that was plan two. And then the last resort was the vegan cookie. So
Mhm.
I did buy vegan graham cracker. Fun fact, a lot of the graham crackers have honey. And in this case, I
Oh.
asked my friend, my neighbor, I was like, hey, do you eat honey? Because I know some vegans will not eat honey. And
Mhm.
luckily, she's good with honey. So I was like, okay, that's my backup.
Mhm.
And I ran through some tests. So the first thing was I baked the vegan sponge cake. It turned out a lot more kind of like chewier than I expected. Like
Oh, was it, like, super dense or, like,
it
how
was
did it
denser. Yeah, it was like if compared to a like regular egg sponge cake,
Mhm.
way more dense. And the
Mhm.
recipe is so wrong, or maybe
Oh,
my
no.
oven was different, I don't know, because 'cause I'm working with a really tiny oven right now,
Mhm.
and it took maybe 4 times as long to set. Because I kept checking,
Okay.
I was like, "I got the temperature right, I'm using the same settings that the recipe called for," and I would put a skewer in, and it always come out wet, and I was like, "No, it's not
Mhm.
done." So I actually baked it, like, much longer than what it was called for, and maybe that's why it ended up being kind of chewy,
But at
but
the same time, like, if it comes out and if it's still liquid, it's like, what else are you supposed to do?
yeah.
And I'm curious, like, what I'm sorry, did you say what went into this one? What went into the pound cake?
Let's see here. It's AP flour, it's got
Mhm.
sugar, it's got soy milk, baking soda,
Mhm.
oil, a little vinegar, that's to activate the baking soda,
Mhm.
then vanilla extract. So it's very simple.
I could see how that would lead to something dense though, because outside of the baking soda, you don't have a whole lot that's really allowing that to
Yep,
rise to the extent that you want something spongy to rise. Like, I'm
yep,
honestly surprised that it wasn't like, get some aquafaba or something and like whip it up so that that
yeah,
way you're integrating a lot more air into the batter. Like,
yep,
as you're reading it, and I am not a scientist, I'm not a food scientist, I am not a chef. I wanna make a disclaimer, I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, but I've attempted to make sponge cakes and angel food cakes and cakes that needed to be light and fluffy a lot, and in my experience, baking soda by itself isn't always going to cut it. It needs something that is like whipped egg whites, some kind of something that you have to fold into the batter.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's such a bummer though. I'm
I
so sorry
know.
that that was like that like were you able to still use it or like what
I
how did it
used it actually, cause with this, it's not like you're eating this straight, cause you're gonna soak this anyway. So I was like, "Hey, backup." This was my backup anyways.
Mhm.
So I was like, it's not bad. Like you soak it in the coffee liqueur and it does its thing. You're supposed to soak up the coffee, the
Yeah,
flavor, and
it does what it's supposed to do.
exactly. So I
And
wasn't
once
too
it's
worried. I was
mixed in, it all is gonna taste like tiramisu, so
exactly,
mhm.
exactly. So I was like, okay, we're done with that. And then I also had the cookie. So I, did the same thing with the graham crackers and soaked it and it works perfectly. So
Mhm.
I've got two options here. And I actually ended up using both. So
Nice.
I did a cookie layer at the bottom,
Mhm,
which I put in the coffee liqueur
mhm,
and then started layering. So for the filling in between, it was the mascarpone
mhm,
and vegan Italian meringue.
mhm.
And I would just fold the two together and then put it between the cookie layer and the sponge layer.
Okay.
And then, I mean, it turned out really well. So I made a miniature prototype
Mhm,
before I did the final, because the final one was much
mhm.
bigger because there was like 20 people that we had to
Yeah.
serve.
Mhm.
And the prototype worked well. I had it in overnight. It set, it cut beautifully, and I also tested it leaving it out because it's gonna be out, and I
Mhm.
don't want it melting and becoming this hot mess party.
Yeah.
And turned out it it's had its own shape for many hours, and so I actually ended up not doing the lady fingers because I still have like 3 cakes in the fridge.
Wow, so you really prepared, that's awesome, and I love that you did a prototype before you actually, you know, went for it and just made the whole big thing because, like, if you just do a prototype, first of all, it gives you the opportunity to, like you said, see how well it stands up to the test of time, and, if it's gonna be at a party, it's gonna be warm, people are gonna be crowding around the dessert table because why wouldn't you? Um but then it also kind of gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to taste the final product as well. So I don't know if it's necessary for every single occasion, but I feel like at the event that you were going to, it sounds like there were a lot of people there. Like you want to make sure that you are making plenty so that enough people could have it, but also so that it was going to be the end product that you desired. So, I love that you, like, thought ahead that much. That's just so freaking smart.
No. I think it's just experience now, it's like like
Mhm,
both of us really, we've experienced disasters after disasters, and I think
mhm.
just like now we just plan.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing how much, like, you can learn by stuff just not going right, and that's why I love growth mindset stuff because I genuinely believe that you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. I like, not in every circumstance, but in general, yeah, I think it's we are at the point where we are because of the mistakes that we made in the past.
Yes,
So
yes. So, Robin, I heard you made, like, was it vegan or just vegetarian beef
Mhm.
stew?
It was actually so it's funny you mentioned that you made tiramisu because I made tiramisu as well for my Christmas dinner. Um,
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
that was not vegan, that was not, I mean, it was vegetarian, but
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but yeah, so for Christmas Day, we had my partner's family who came out to visit from Virginia, and that was wonderful. And they're all meat eaters. So I got a brisket. And I should have done my research because it did not. It was fine. It was tolerable, but I think what I needed to do was I needed to let it start cooking like the night before because it didn't get nearly as tender as what I was
Mm.
envisioning.
Mhm,
So, yeah, or either that or I should have just gotten a pot roast and done that. But I
mhm.
didn't see any whenever I was at the Walmart. So, I don't know. I did the best that I could with the time and attention span and wherewithal that I had. So, yeah, lesson learned there. Do research on briskets before you buy them because they're
Mhm,
annoying and they
mhm,
need a lot of time and care to turn out. But we also had a couple neighbors come over and they're such sweet girls. I really like talking to them. And they would have gone home to Texas for Christmas, but this year, with their work schedules, it wasn't going to end up working out.
yeah.
Um, so we had them over, and the one girl is vegetarian.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, well, I want her to have a main as well. Somehow, all the rest of my sides ended up being completely vegetarian, not vegan, but vegetarian.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh,
that was it
nice.
was very easy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and she made these oh my gosh, she brought these cheesy potatoes, and they were like hash browns, and they had cheese, and they were so freaking good. But for her main, I went to just the local grocery store, and
Mhm,
I got the Beyond Meat. They were like these beef tri-tip steak kind of things,
mhm,
and I didn't have any veggie stock, so I couldn't make a really nice proper roux for a gravy. So
mhm.
what I ended up doing instead was I put some butter in a skillet with mushrooms and onions, and I made almost like a mushroom gravy.
Oh, the
Yeah, and it was really good between the butter and also the liquid that the mushrooms released. And I added like some milk and cream in there as well.
mhm.
But yeah, with that, I mixed in the Beyond Meat substitute,
Nice.
and she was able to have a main as part of her Christmas dinner and everything. So, um,
Aw, that's so
it was
nice.
yeah, and honestly, like, I feel like cooking vegetarian is simultaneously easier than I would have expected and harder than I would have expected. It's
Mm,
easier because there are a lot of dishes that I eat that I are just vegetarian by default. Like I like salads, I like a lot of fruit and veggie heavy dishes. I don't love meat. Like I'll eat it depending on what it is, but
mhm.
I find that the older I get, the more I tend to gravitate towards meatless dishes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I'm really
Mhm,
glad that we got to have something that was truly vegetarian because it's kinda tricky too, like, that's the part that's a little bit harder than you would think. It's like, there are things that you wouldn't think would have meat products in them, and they
mhm.
do. A
Yeah.
lot of stocks and everything, like, you look at some veggie stocks, sometimes they do have some kind of, like, chicken or beef flavoring, and I'm sure you've had to kind of keep your eyes out for things. Like, I could even imagine certain, like, potato chips or something having, like, bacon seasoning, and
Mhm,
I
yeah.
could see it being sneaky as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Wow, that sounds like so was the tiramisu that you made in that same dinner?
Mhm. Yes, yeah, so that was our dessert, and making regular good old-fashioned non-vegan tiramisu, I don't think is that high on the difficulty scale. Like, I
Mhm.
think I would say it's mid-level. I would say if we go from 1 to 10 and 1 is, like, super easy, you cannot mess this up, to 10 being like a I don't know, like a croquembouche or macarons or something,
Mhm.
I would say that tiramisu hovers somewhere between a 3 and a 5 for me.
Mm,
Like, I think the hardest part is, like, tempering the eggs for the custard,
yeah,
but honestly, it's just a lot of steps, it's like
right.
you gotta make the custard, you gotta whip up the egg whites, you've gotta whip up the cream,
Mhm.
mix all that together,
Yep.
but aside from there being a lot of steps, the technical difficulty part is pretty minimal. And I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, CJ.
Yeah, dude.
Tiramisu is not my favorite dessert. It's like I made it because I thought it would be a good crowd pleaser, and it
Oh,
was,
oh, good.
but it's fine, like, I don't dislike it, it's
Uh-huh.
just not my favorite. It was
Mm.
one of the things that I was like, I would rather make tiramisu than a Yule log cake
Uh-huh.
because any kind of roll cake
Yeah.
takes so much mental fortitude, it
Right.
takes the stars being aligned, like, it's they're
Yep,
really hard to do,
yep.
and yeah, with all the
You don't need to
traveling and everything.
stress yourself out.
Yeah, like, that's I don't know, just the holiday season was wonderful and it was super fun, but I feel like I'm getting to that point, you know, in my old age where I am very much realizing when I've hit my limit,
Mhm.
and I am being very cognizant of not pushing past that limit because
Mhm.
it doesn't do anybody any good, and the last thing that anybody wants for their holiday celebration is for the person hosting to be a mess. Like, nobody wants that.
Yep,
The host doesn't want it, the people enjoying the day don't want it,
yep.
and so I wanted to make sure that we ended up planning on doing it was going to be enough, that it would still feel special, but
Mhm.
it wouldn't push me to the edge. Also, my partner helped me out a lot
Oh,
with the tiramisu. He was
that's
whipping
great.
stuff up and
Oh, that's
just
great.
yeah, he's a good egg.
Yes. So I'm curious, what coffee did you use?
Need no judgment. Don't at me,
No.
please. So, I just I did the poor man's espresso, the poor lady's espresso. Um, and I don't know if you've seen it in your grocery store, but there is a brand of espresso. It's from this Italian grocery chain called DeLallo's, and
Okay.
we actually have an actual store
Mhm.
in the town where I'm from.
Uh-huh.
And so I every time I see that name, I get a little bit of excitement in
Oh.
my heart. So I just bought their powdered espresso
Mhm.
and I just mixed it up with some hot water.
That is exactly what I do. Okay, I
Yay.
love the freeze-dried coffee stuff, and you can get
Mhm.
as concentrated as you want.
Yeah, or, like, you can water it down as much as you want, like, if you know that there are, like, little kids and everything and, like, you don't wanna put too much coffee in there, like,
It
I
worked
just
perfectly, Sarah. That was
thank you.
great.
Thanks. I feel like if there are so many parts of the culinary world where there is a lot more of a higher expectation to
Mhm.
do things a certain way, to use certain ingredients. My philosophy is if it works, it works. I am not baking for the Queen of England, rest her soul. I am not cooking anything for Gordon Ramsay. If I were, I would try to use maybe some higher quality ingredients, but for my family and our palates, this tastes just as good as something that would have come out of a $2,000 espresso machine. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, it totally works, and I think maybe even may work better because I feel like because it's dry I don't know if you had alcohol in yours, probably not. Um,
No, yeah, we don't
um,
have, we
so
don't keep the stuff.
yeah. So, I had some coffee liqueur in mine, and, in the past, I've made it with an Italian Armorio? I don't know how to say it.
Amaretto?
Yeah, something like it's some brand that it tastes like almond liqueur.
Yeah, we used to have a bottle of the amaretto syrup when I used to work at the bookstore at Stanford.
Yes, so it's that stuff, but I'll have to find the brand, but I mean, not that you would get it. It's really
Still
good.
though, it's good to know.
Um, and so what I'd like to do is just take the freeze-dried coffee and mix it with the liquid the alcohol. And so you
Oh,
don't have water, it's just alcohol and coffee.
then you get, like, the really punch like, a good punch of flavor, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah, it was so and this time I didn't have to do that with the freeze-dried coffee because what I got instead was just straight coffee liqueur, so it was already mixed together basically, and it worked pretty well. I actually like the freeze-dried coffee method better.
Interesting. And let me ask you this, whenever you go and get your freeze-dried coffee, is there, like, a certain brand that you look for, or where do you like to go and get it?
I use anything because I feel like, I still have some Starbucks left. I feel like the technology has gotten so good that, like, they all taste pretty good.
Yeah, and I love that because it feels like you don't have to splurge and make something super expensive. And maybe it's just, like, in my own head, but, like, feels like for holiday feasts, it feels like there needs to be a huge price tag attached to it,
Mhm.
and there's this really big expectation that the meal has to taste amazing, but you need to be using the best ingredients all the time, and I would like to call into question what the term "the best of ingredients" actually means, because I feel like that could mean a lot of different things to different people, and I genuinely don't believe that something has to be more expensive in order to taste good.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, like, there have been probably studies that, like, they have people do blind taste tests on, like, wine or, like, I don't know, just anything that, like, a lot of people like the, you know, less expensive stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be expensive to have a good meal.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say, and this is going to kind of contradict it a little bit, but I have found that I will be pickier when it comes to certain baking ingredients
Mm,
because I prefer the taste of it. I'm not going to say that it's
mhm,
better, but I prefer it. So, for instance, I prefer vanilla bean paste because, first of
mm,
all, I love seeing the little flecks of vanilla
mhm,
beans, whether
mm,
it's in a custard or like white cake or something.
mhm, mhm,
I love seeing those flecks of vanilla beans. I think the flavor is a lot more pronounced. I think it balances out other flavors a lot better because that's more pronounced.
mhm,
So I will splurge on vanilla bean paste because I prefer it, and I
mhm.
will also splurge on the type of flour that I get because I feel like that also yields better bakes. Like I want to do like a blind taste test with that somehow because I genuinely don't know if that's true, but
Mhm.
I will spend a few extra dollars on the King Arthur
Oh,
all-purpose flour, bread
uh-huh,
flour,
uh-huh.
pizza flour. I don't know I don't
Yeah,
know if there's even that much of a difference with that,
there
but
is.
that's
There is.
really? Okay,
Yes.
good to know.
Yeah.
You've confirmed it.
Definitely.
You heard it here, folks. There is a difference.
So, do you find a difference between, like, let's just say AP flour, you think King Arthur's is better than what other brand, for example?
Uh I would go with King Arthur's over Pillsbury, and I would go with King Arthur's over because I used to buy the generic Great Value Walmart brand or
Mhm,
whatever the generic store brand of whatever store I was in.
mhm.
And it could be a psychological thing. Maybe having the name brand, having that really nice symbol stamped on the flour bag, maybe that's what does it for me. I don't know.
Mm,
But I think that we need to do a little bit of a blind taste test one of these days, and maybe that'll be a future episode. Because
yeah. I
I
have
think
not noticed a difference, and I will use any brand.
okay, see, that's good to know because I've been spending more on flour, but there's always this question in the back of my mind of, do I really need to do this? Is there really
Mhm.
that much of a difference? So, yeah. Oh, you know what we should do? One day we should do an episode of the history of baking because the talk about flour reminded me of how in Victorian times, apparently to stretch flour to sell more, there would be some very dubious bakers who would add things like plaster or like really like poisonous stuff to their flour.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should have a little bit of a history of baking episode. That's just
Yes.
I'm a
That's a
nerd,
great
so that's
idea,
my
we'll have to
personal
do that.
personal preference. But yeah, I really now I want to test out this theory. And we could also like go online and see opinions from other bakers
Mhm.
and see if anybody else has noticed a difference or if everything's all the same,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah, that's really interesting, yeah. I do know that, like, cake flour I will buy cake flour to make cakes. It is different than AP flour, and pizza flour, which is 00 flour, that is also very different. It's just got more gluten, and so
Mhm.
I like to use that for even bread making, that
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I find that if I was to make a focaccia or something, I
Mhm.
would go with the pizza flour.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting because
Mm.
I've only used bread flour, I think, to make focaccia. But now I kind of want to try it with
Well,
pizza flour.
bread flour and pizza dough flour, like, that's very similar, actually. So, like,
Okay.
you could make pizza dough with bread flour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And actually, now that you say that, I think I have done that. I think I've used bread flour in a pinch to make
Mhm.
pizza dough,
Yes.
which that'll be that I want to I'm thinking of all these ideas for future episodes, but I want to talk
Yes.
about pizza making too because pizza
Oh,
is, I
boy.
think, a universally beloved food,
Yes.
and there are a lot of wonderful ways to make different kinds of crusts. So, but
Yep.
let me ask you this: thin crust or thick crust? I need to know.
I love thin crust.
Yes! Thin crust all the way, baby!
You too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a thin crust kinda gal, but not so thin that it's like a cracker, like, I want it to
Mhm.
have some kind of
Yeah.
toothsomeness to it,
Yep.
but yeah, it's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Delicious stuff. You know what's funny? Like, we're just talking about Italian, right? And
Mhm.
so I got this what's considered, like, the Bible for Italian food is just recently translated,
It's so
and
beautiful.
yeah, it's very beautiful. It's called "The Most Iconic Italian Cookbook Ever Written,"
Mhm.
by Ada Boni. Is this, like, Italian grandma like, in Italy, all the families use her recipes, and I was looking for tiramisu. In her book, it doesn't exist.
Really?
I wonder if tiramisu is an American invention of some sort.
Honestly, I could see it. I mean, there are a lot of dishes that exist because of our melting pot, so I wouldn't be surprised if tiramisu was among those dishes, like, that'll maybe be included in our history of baking episode.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, that's like a history lesson that we need to do some more research on.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that there is, like, an Italian grandma-esque cookbook that has actual measurements in it because from what I've known, at least and we are not Italian, but from what I know of a lot of grandmas and bubbies and mimas and a lot of heritage style cooking, a
Mhm.
lot of it is very much just measure with your heart. My one aunt tried to get our bubby to write down her gefilte fish recipe once, and she was like, "Okay, mama, what kind of fish do you use?" "Well, whatever white fish is on sale that week. It doesn't matter." "Okay, well, what spices and things do you put in there?" "Oh, a little of this and a little of that." It's so surprising to me that you have this whole massive Bible that is heavy enough you could probably give somebody a concussion if you hit them on the head with it. Like, you have a whole big thing full of all these recipes from an Italian grandma, and that's such a beautiful and also probably rare thing to have when
Yeah,
so many of these older recipes are just, measure
yeah.
with your heart.
Good. Yeah, I know. I think that, like, she's kind of considered, like, the Julia Child of Italian cooking.
Wow. Aw, she
Um
sounds like a great lady.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it has measurements, but it's not like, down to the gram or anything. Um
Yeah, yeah, which is I feel like that's kind of what we're used to, at least with baking. With baking, you kind of have to. With cooking, you can get a little bit more creative, I think.
Yeah.
Not creative, you can be creative with baking too, but there's a lot more room for error, I think, with cooking.
Yep, yep.
Mhm.
So, I have a question. Like,
Yes.
during your cooking this season, was there anything in your kitchen that you felt needed, I don't know, something wasn't optimal or something?
Oh my goodness. I could go on. It's not like I dislike the kitchen that we have here. It's a nice big kitchen. It's big enough for an apartment, but there are definitely a lot of things that I would do better if I could design my own kitchen. And I'll turn the same question back to you. I know you've done a lot of baking in your own kitchen. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you would want to have in your kitchen?
Yeah, well, I think it's a little teaser for next episode, but
Mm.
my kitchen right now is tiny.
Mhm.
It's functional. Like, I wouldn't be able to really have a second, like, a sous chef, like, if my husband was around and helping me, like, it wouldn't work.
Mhm.
Um, so for our next episode, I can get into what the hell's wrong with my kitchen.
Yes, we are gonna design our dream kitchens in the next episode, and I hope you guys will join us, and thank you for joining us on this episode. As always, it has been super fun getting to talk shop and talk about bakes and everything, so yay.
Yay, yes, until next week.
Woo! Yep, until next time, we will see you later.
See
Alright,
ya,
bye.
bye. That's it for this episode of Cozy Kitchen.
We're so glad you stopped by. We can't wait to see you the next time we sit by the fire. See you next time.
Next time.